Hey guys! So today I am filming my most anticipated books of 2016, and I know I'm wearing the same clothes as I did in the last video, but that's because I'm filming these on the same day. I really just wanted to get this video filmed so I could have it out before the end of the year for you guys. So yeah, let's get started. So I had a lot of books that I was really anticipating for next year, but I tried to keep it to some books you might not have heard of already. And also, none of these books are going to be sequels of a series that already exists. These are all going to be books that are standalone or series. It takes place in a setting close to the story of like 1001 Nights and Aladdin. So that sounds really interesting to me, and I cannot wait to get this book. And I think it's going to have a really strong female character to it, so I love that about it too. And the next book is The Star-Touched Queen by Roshani Koshka, and this book will be published on May 3rd. And this really sounds interesting to me because I have not heard a lot of books just talking about Indian mythology. So that is what really sparked my interest in this book. So this book is about a princess named Maya whose fate promises her a marriage of death and destruction. She's an intelligent girl that is more interested in like scholarly pursuits, but her father arranges a marriage for her. It's more like allying of these kingdoms. And basically something happens where she becomes queen of the kingdom, and it basically follows her and her husband and that her life is not exactly what she expected when she's married and becomes the queen of this kingdom. So I find it really interesting. I'm super excited to see what Indian mythology is going to be wrapped up in this story. So yeah, I really can't wait to read this book. So the next book is Sword and Verse by Kathy Macmillan, and this book will be published on January 19th. And there is also a giveaway on Goodreads for this book, which I will link down below too, which I've already signed up for because I'm super excited about this book and I would love to get it. So this kind of reminds me a little bit about The Giver. This book follows a girl who has been sold to slavery, and before that her father was teaching her how to read and become a learned one, which is basically a person that knows the secret language. It seems really interesting, and I think it follows her trying to learn the secrets of this kingdom and that sort of thing. I don't know too much about the book. I absolutely love the cover of this book, so really excited to get to this one. And another book that I'm super excited about is called The Hidden Oracle by Rick Riordan, which will be published on May 3rd. This is the first book in his Trials of Apollo series, and basically this follows Apollo once he's been cast out of Olympus by Zeus and he becomes immortal in the mortal realm, and it kind of just follows him trying to escape from all his enemies that he has and seeking the help of some of the characters from the previous books. This seems like a really interesting series. So I read The Lightning Thief and a few books from that series, and I have not read the rest of Rick Riordan's books, so I kind of don't know if I will plan on reading this one before I get to the other ones, but it seems like a book that I want to mention because Rick Riordan's a very popular author and I've enjoyed all his books so far. So the next book I want to talk about is A World Without You by Beth Revis, and this book will be published on July 19th. Now, this book dives a lot into mental illness and depression, so I really think that this is going to be a really interesting book. It's about a character named Bo who believes he can travel through time and he has the superpower, and his parents send him off to a special school, and he believes it's a school for people with superpowers. And he meets a girl and falls in love with her. The girl was dealing with depression and soon commits suicide, but Bo does not believe that she's really dead, but stuck in another time period or another dimension. And so he goes on this adventure trying to find her. So I don't know I believe that all the superpower stuff is basically just in his head. So I'm really interested to see what this book is about and just check it out. And I think it's going to be a really great book, and it seems like it's going to delve into a lot of issues and topics that I find interesting. So super excited to get to this one. And the next book also kind of deals with mental issues, and that is The Smaller Evil by Stephanie Kuhn. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. This book will be published on August 2nd. It's also about a boy who deals with anxiety issues, and he gets sent to this camp that is supposed to help him deal with his issues, but later, as he's in this camp, it becomes clear that it's more like a cult. There's a lot of rituals and strange things going on, and so I think it's about him kind of discovering what this camp is really about. So that seems interesting, and I like the cover of this book too. So, and I don't think I've heard a lot of people talk about this book, so I really wanted to put them in here because I think it's gonna be a really, really interesting book, and I'm super excited to get to it. So the next book is Riders by Veronica Rossi, and this book will be published on February 16th. This book is about an 18-year-old who is in the army and ends up dying and comes back to life as War, one of the horsemen of the apocalypse. A girl helps him or tracks down all the other 7 horsemen, and their fate is basically to save the world. So I think it seems pretty interesting. Can't go wrong with Apocalypse and the 7 horsemen. So I'm super excited. And the next book is Assassin's Heart by Sarah Heers, and this book will be published on February 2nd. And basically this is a book about a group of families that are all assassins, and it follows a young woman whose family is killed, and she believes it's one of the assassin families that have killed her family. So it's basically a book about her revenge and trying to figure out which family killed her family. So it seems really interesting, and I think it's going to be a standalone book, though I'm not sure. I think it would be a good series though, but I'm not sure if it's going to be a series or not. But it sounds really interesting, and yeah, I can't wait to get to it. The next book is Into the Dim by Janet B. Taylor, and this book will be out March 1st. This book is about a young girl whose mother passes away in an earthquake, and she spends the summer in Scotland and discovers that her mother was not just a scholar, but part of a society of time travelers, and it kind of, the adventure ensues, and she figures out that she is a time traveler. So, I mean, you can't go wrong with time travel, and it's set in Scotland, so I think it's going to be really interesting. And yeah, I love the cover of this book as well, and it just seems like a really interesting book. The next book is A Girl from Everywhere by Heidi Hegel, and this book will be published on February 16th. This is also kind of like a time travel book. It's sort of. It kind of reminds me of The Glass Sentence a little bit, even though I haven't read that book yet either. But basically it is about a girl and her father can go anywhere in the world as long as he has a map of that location. So they can travel to mythical Scandinavia, or even the setting of 1001 Nights. It's literally, they can do anything. It could be a mythical place or an actual place, but they can travel anywhere as long as they have a map. So I think this is going to be the first book in a series. So I think it's basically going to be about their adventures and all the places that they travel. So it sounds really interesting, and I think it's going to be one of those nice light reads that you need every once in a while. And the last book is called Some Kind of Happiness by Claire Legrand, and this book will be published on May 7th. And this book is about a girl named Finley who's having a lot of issues in her life. Her parents are separating, and she's dealing with a lot of other things, and she always goes back to this Everwood forest that she writes about as a way to get away from her troubles in the real world and kind of escape from life. And so her parents send her for the summer to her grandparents' house to get away, and she sort of realizes that the wood behind her grandparents' house is very similar to this Everwood forest that she has created in her stories. And she soon discovers that the stories that she has been writing about are actually taking place in this forest, and it's about her adventures in the forest. So it seems really interesting. I think it's a young adult fiction novel. But it sounds really, really, really interesting, and I love the cover of this book as well, so of course I had to check it out. So yeah, I'm super excited for this book as well. So those are all the books that I am excited about for 2016, and there are a lot of other books that I didn't even mention, like Passenger and Truth Witch and a whole bunch of others, but I just try to keep this as short and as sweet as possible. So let me know in the comments below what books you are really excited about reading next year. And I hope you have a great New Year's, and I will see you guys next week. Bye. I got this book and I cannot wait to read it. It'll probably be the first book that I get to because it is pretty short. I think it's only like 200, maybe 300 pages.